So you're all feeling fresh? Relaxed? Yes? Oh. Maybe people will stay on after all. Sometimes at this stage you start to feel some real energy coming into your mind because you're excited about leaving. But then you go back into the world and you notice actually you feel slightly happier, hopefully, maybe even a lot happier than before. And part of the reason for that is just really simple, that you've left behind the things in your life that cause you stress, and you've given yourself enough time to recover from them. So this is something that I think we can learn from the concept of retreat, that we need retreats just to recalibrate, just to see what else there is in life when we've become a little bit telescopic. And it's interesting, the things that really matter on retreat, right? The huge deals. Welcome, you're just in time.
Sorry.
Not at all. 4 elements. So, very good. I'm just looking at your shirt again and thinking, well, you just could, eventually. So I was just talking about retreat and how important it is, and the stuff that kind of becomes big in your retreat world is just really boring stuff, right? Like I was just thinking about my washing, thinking, oh, when can I do my washing? I was thinking, if this is the worst thing that happens to me in my life, then I'm pretty lucky. And in the world, this kind of stuff that occupies us is also, sometimes it's just trivial stuff, small stuff that we make bigger. And one of the reasons for that is that we have no perspective, spiritual perspective to put it in, and also just because we get stuck in thinking. And so the monkeys come along and they say, here's this problem, and we make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We pay attention to it so much that it becomes massive. And so I see this a lot with people who work. They end up focusing on their work so much and at the detriment of their other life, their personal life, their home life, their family life. And so that world becomes all-consuming. And sometimes when you hear about people really struggling with this or that, and you just feel really sorry for them. And a few days away from work or family or problems or home, whatever it is, just puts things back into perspective a little bit so that you can go back with a more even mind. You don't have to get overwhelmed by these issues so much. And you have some strategies and some skills, hopefully a little bit of wisdom to better cope with all of this stuff in the future. So this is some of the benefits of the retreat. You get away, which is great. So you have a little holiday. You see new things, which is nice, right? You have this physical dislocation, which means you're removed from your usual environment. So you can't do all the habitual things that usually make you you. You have to do new things. You have to share a bathroom maybe, or you have to walk a little way to the kitchen, or you don't get to decide the food that you eat, things like that. Shift you out of your usual way of being and invite you to look at yourself differently Who am I when I'm not at home, being the father or the brother? Who am I when I'm not at work, being the good employee? Who am I when I'm not studying? Who am I when I don't do all the things that usually define me, that I thought made me, me? And so in this way, a retreat is very freeing. We can reinvent how we see ourselves. We can investigate more deeply what it means to be us. And we're not constrained or defined by those things that previously we thought of as me, myself. We're not constrained by those. We're not defined by them. We're not owned by them. Sure, we were conditioned by them, but this is just a process. And if we want to change ourselves, change our life, then we can. If we want to become a better person, then we can. If we want to be a more generous, more kind person, then we can. If you want to discover more joy in life, you can. If you want to deepen your understanding of the Dharma and wisdom, then you can. And this is just about priorities and about training, conditioning your mind. And so we can let go of things that no longer help us, like regrets from the past, difficult relationships, unskillful behaviours or addictions. We can let them go. They don't have to define us. Those things are not us. So we start to see how we can construct a better, more skillful, more beneficial me. And so that's why this training is so valuable. It really shows us the potential to live a good life and to live the kind of life that makes us happy and takes us away from suffering. So that's why it's been so good for your monkey mind to come here for the last few days and to have the opportunity to actually look within and see the possibility, just the possibility of training that cheeky monkey. And so I wanted to share one last sutta with you, and I've saved it for today because sometimes if you introduce it too early on, people will get the wrong idea. So this sutta, I started mentioning it the other night. It's the Vitakkasanthana Sutta, which is the discourse Majjhima Nikaya number 20, Overcoming Distracting Thoughts. You're like, finally! Why didn't you tell us sooner? Because there's some danger. There's some danger if people are not wise, if people are not skillful. So one of the things I've been trying to encourage you over the last few days is to actually see for yourself, to inquire for yourself, to know for yourself how to be a meditator. So it's really easy for teachers to say, this is the one true method. This is the only technique you'll ever need. Just sit, everything will come. You can put things like that on a fridge magnet and they sound really good, right? It's like the one technique that you've been waiting for. And it's so simple. It's so easy to remember. It's so pithy. And then when you go to practice it, you're like, hang on a second. Things are a bit more complicated. Or like, when I do that, then this happens. So what about that? And so if we have this really simplistic, pithy, perfect little phrase that helps us, then it'll only help us to that extent. We're not that simple, right? You've started to discover this, yeah? We're not simple, we're complicated, there's a lot going on, we're difficult to train. We need more than just one simple thing. What we need is to develop our wisdom. We can't rely upon a fridge magnet for our spiritual growth. You can't rely upon a teacher being there behind you every step of the way saying, this is your monkey mind. Don't pay attention, don't give it a banana. You can't rely upon a teacher to be there every step of the way. You're going to have questions and doubts. We can't even rely upon our great teacher, the Buddha. And he said so himself. He said he's just pointing the way, that it's up to us to work it out for ourselves. He gave the teachings. He can't help us out. If he could do that, we wouldn't be sitting here today. Everyone would have got enlightened 2,500 years ago. If it was that simple that the Buddha could just get people enlightened. No, they had to do this by themselves. And so do we. Which means that the thing that we're going to need most of all is to develop our own wisdom. So wisdom is different to something like knowledge. Right? Knowledge is just stuff that maybe someone wise has told us. Wisdom is when we understand it for ourselves on a very deep level. So if you think about something like the profound teachings of right view, the Four Noble Truths, dependent origination, and things like that, we've got some information about those things. We know what the names of these things are. Maybe we've got some knowledge about them. Oh, this does this means that. But until we see them for ourselves, we don't yet have the wisdom that will actually matter. So we need to develop a mind that understands through personal experience. And you're all different people. When I have my chats with you, it's so obvious just how different people are. That some people need this kind of style of approach. Some people need that style. Some people have this issue. Some people have that way of thinking. And so we need to see this stuff for ourselves. We're kind of imprisoned by our own conditioning. We think that we're the normal one and everyone else is, a bit abnormal or different. But actually we're all completely different from each other. And although there's some overlapping tendencies, mostly we're going to have to figure out how we can apply these teachings in our own mind, in our own life. So this is the challenge for us. If it was simple, then we would be really quick at it. But because we have to process this stuff in our own way and see how it applies in our own life, then it takes time. Most of that time is unpicking some of the conditioning that we've accumulated, unpicking the unwholesome, unpicking the unskillful, unpicking tendencies that we're not even aware of, ways of being that impede our progress on the spiritual path. And that's always easy to see in other people, right? Oh, if only they'd do this, then they'd be happy. So easy to solve other people's problems. But because we're kind of in this prison of our own mind, it's very difficult for us to see the walls of our prison. So it's very difficult for us to even think about stepping outside and escaping. because it's so wrapped up in how we are, who we are. And so that's why developing wisdom is such an important part of the path. So, this sutta, which requires some wisdom, Majjhima Nikaya number 20, overcoming distracting thoughts. So the Buddha says there's these 5 ways that you can overcome distracting thoughts. And the first one I've already shared with you, which is that image of the old wooden peg in the building. And the way you get rid of that wooden peg that's rotted is you take another wooden peg, you put it up against it, and you hammer the new peg so that the old peg pops out the other side. So this, you remember me saying, was the method of substitution. Substitution. So this is what we've been practicing the whole time that we've been here. We've been trying to substitute our tendency to go towards distracting thoughts. We're substituting it with the neutral object of the breath. So this is how we've been working. Every time a thought comes up, we pop it out by coming back to the breath. And that old thought disappears. When it's a very persistent thought, we just keep coming back to the breath, keep coming back to the breath, keep coming back to the breath. And eventually that pattern, that practice, will push out that distracting thought. So this is the most easy and basic way that we can deal with thoughts. And this is the process of mindfulness and developing that focus of mind. So the Buddha says this is number 1 in your line of defense. So we've been practicing that the last 5 days. And this is the most useful, the most appropriate. This is the practice we should do the most. Substitution. So this is always our first line of defense. Okay, so I'm saying that because I don't want you to just jump to number 5, which we'll find out about in a little bit. So that's our first thing. And then the Buddha says, if that doesn't work and the persistent thought remains, then the meditator should imagine that this thought is like a carcass, a skeleton of a dog or a human draped around your neck like a kind of grotesque horror necklace. So it's quite a shift already, right? We've moved to developing a sense of horror and shame about these thoughts. So what do you think the Buddha's pointing at here? So some thoughts can be very persistent. Some thoughts can be very just aware of the different people in the room. So sometimes our thoughts can be of certain types of nature, and we might have a sense of guilt or shame even about them. So take, for example, some of the thoughts that you've been having the last few days. Imagine if you had a little flashing sign around your neck that told everyone what you were thinking. No? Oh, what kind of thoughts have you been having? And the truth is just lots of random weird thoughts. But there's some thoughts that might be particularly unskillful, such as like thoughts of hate. You know, someone coughs next to you and you're like, that's it, next time. You know, this thought comes into your head. Imagine if that was like around your neck, like thoughts of murder. Or you see a jacket that someone's wearing, you think, I might take that jacket and keep it myself. No, I don't think anyone here would think like that. But these are the kinds of thoughts that I think the Buddha is pointing to here. Things like just engaging in sexual fantasies throughout your meditation, or thoughts of pride and ego, like, I'm the best meditator. When I leave here, I'm going to go and teach everyone I know meditation. They're going to revere me as a teacher. They're going to bow down. And imagine these thoughts like around your neck, and everyone could see them. So I think this is how the Buddha is what the Buddha is trying to point to here. That some of these thoughts, in the privacy of our own mind, we don't really have a sense of shame. But if they were broadcast, we would be horrified, right? So I saw the looks on your faces when I said, imagine if and you're like, oh my gosh, no. Like, that's the kind of feeling. When you have these thoughts, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And so this is that second strategy of invoking a sense of shame. And so I use the word shame, and it's important to acknowledge that shame also has a really bad kind of connotation in English. So this word is like hiriotapa in Pali, and some translators will translate it as things like conscientiousness and prudence, which I think is probably a good way to put it. Conscientiousness and prudence. Like, what am I doing? Is this wise? Is this skillful? The shame, I think, is useful for developing an emotional reaction when I say the word shame, but I'm also really aware that shame has a lot of negative connotations, that we are shamed into feeling a certain way because of parental guidance, I'm just trying to think of the word, the way our parents brought us up, the way society views us, all those sorts of things. So I don't think that you should be ashamed of things that you can't control. For example, maybe you have a disability, or your sexuality, or your gender, or anything like that. Like, we should only be ashamed of the things that are shameworthy, right? Like, thoughts of violence, or thoughts of stealing, things like that. These things, when I say shame, we know that these are not good. Those other culturally constructed things, we don't want to feel bad about. And we want to understand the conditioned nature of our thinking process, and that also some of the things that we feel shame about, we shouldn't feel shame about at all. So I don't think we're talking about those things in this context. We're talking about things that are blameworthy and that we should be more conscientious about, more prudent about, such as the kind of thoughts where we're about to do some action, or which is unskillful, or the kinds of thoughts which just by themselves are unskillful, that I've already mentioned. So this is also a strategy, right? So you can kind of imagine the horror of displaying your thoughts, or you can imagine them hung around your neck like a carcass. Like, what am I doing here? How did this happen? And so in this way, we condition the mind to move away from such thoughts. It's gross. You have this rotting creature around your neck. Yuck. And the same thing when you have these thoughts sometimes in your mind. You see them and they're actually horrible to have. Like thoughts of ill will. Like, they're so yucky. Even thoughts of greed and wanting. And when you've practiced for some time and you've kind of cleaned your mind up a little bit, You can't bear these kinds of thoughts. They pollute the mind. They're like stains in your mind. And so you really like to have a nice, clean mind. And so this is why that might be an effective technique. But obviously, a bit of a step, right, from number 1 to number 2. Substitution is much easier. Thinking about the need for prudence and conscientiousness is a whole other level. So the third is to simply ignore it. Have you seen those YouTube videos of dogs who are in trouble? Because they've eaten the couch or they've eaten someone's shoes, and this is like a huge mess all around the house, and the owner's got their camera out and they're like, who's a naughty boy? Who's a naughty boy? And the dog's just kind of sitting there smiling, knows it's in trouble. And then it closes its eyes. Because if you can't see me, if I can't see you, then you can't see me. Have you seen those videos, right? It's like, I'm not here. And so this is the idea. If I just close my eyes to it, it's not happening, right? And so for us, sometimes just ignoring something is the most skillful thing we can do. So the Buddha says it's like, when you see things that you don't like horrible sights, like in a movie, when someone's brain explodes or when the alien comes out of the belly or something horrible, and your instinct is just to shut your eyes to it, right? I remember seeing a film with one of my friends years and years and years ago, and I can't even remember what the film was, but it was like a documentary, and it was about poverty and just, war and things like that. And he spent most of his time with his eyes closed, and he's like, I can't watch it. And I was like, being the Buddhist, I was like, we need to know what suffering is. Never close your eyes to suffering. Which might have not been very skillful. But anyway, so the point being that we have this natural tendency when we don't like to see something to close our eyes to it. And so the Buddha says, just like someone with good eyesight closes their eyes to things that they don't want to see, that's how we should react to these distracting thoughts. It's like, I'm not looking at you, I'm not looking at you. So this is a conscious, I guess it's a kind of suppression. Not looking, not engaging, don't want to know about it. Ajahn Brahm might use a phrase like, not my business, none of my business. And so you just tell yourself, nope, not getting engaged. I'm not getting on the crazy train. I'm not going there. And so this is more than what I've been teaching you, which is about just coming back to the breath, Don't get engaged, don't feed it. This is like a wall. You kind of construct a wall. And there's some force, there's some effort with this. You have to really try hard to not see something, right? It takes an act of will to do that. No, block. And so this is another strategy the Buddha recommends. But again, it's only after number 1, substitution didn't work, or number 2, a sense of shame. Only then should you go to number 3, which is to just not see. To not see it, to not look at it, to not engage. To put up that wall to protect yourself. So this is for a kind of thought that is really persistent, that is really perhaps damaging, something that's negative or unskillful or you know is just not going to lead anywhere good. So for that kind of thought, put up a wall, close your eyes, stay tight. And then the fourth strategy is an interesting one, which I think we can use quite a lot in our life. So it's the image of a person walking quickly. So they walk quickly. And as they're walking quickly, they're suddenly like, why am I walking quickly? Why don't I slow down? And so they slow down. And then they think, why am I walking slowly? Why don't I just stand still? And so they stand still. And then they think, why am I standing? Why don't I sit down? So they sit down. And then they think, why am I sitting? Why don't I just lie down? So they lie down. Does this sound a bit like your meditation? Why am I? Why don't I just lie down? So this is, the Buddha says, this is like a way to inquire into the mind, the sankharas, the forces of will and choices, the intentions that we make in our mind. And so in this simile, we're inquiring, why? Why am I thinking so much? Where is this thought coming from? Why don't I try to relax it, release it? And each successive posture that that man walking takes is more comfortable, more relaxed, more at ease, less agitated, less busy, less stressful. And so this is similar to our process of inquiry that we've been looking at. And maybe it's this far down the list at number 4 because it involves actually stopping and thinking. So we use the thinking mind to overcome the distracting thoughts. Does that make sense? So perhaps it's this far down the list because if it was number 1, then we'd just spend all our time thinking, wouldn't we? Thinking about this, thinking about that, pondering this, pondering that, and we wouldn't get any peace. We wouldn't get any depth in our meditation. It would just stay as an intellectual activity. So perhaps that's why it's number 4. It shows us when we should use that strategy of deeply investigating. After all of those other strategies, especially number 1, just the substitution, after that has been ineffective, then go to number 2, number 3, and then, okay, look, this thought isn't going away. Let me investigate what is going on. And you stop and you think and you're like, where is this coming from? How is this arising? You ask yourself a series of questions. And you see if by investigating the mechanisms behind the thought, looking at the cause, not the symptom, if you can understand how this happens, then those thoughts might stop. So this is an inquiry, this is an investigation, this is a thinking way to deal with the thought. And then the last one, if the previous 4 have completely failed, the last one, which is the most dangerous, is to press your tongue up against your mouth and grit your teeth and using a force of will, fight with that thought and overcome it, just as a strong person overcomes a weaker person in a wrestling match, throwing them down, subduing them. So obviously this is a pretty intense strategy, right? If you did this every time you had a little monkey mind thought, then you're just going to be wrestling and you're going to look like this the whole time, gritting your teeth, pressing your tongue up against your mouth, using your force. So obviously this is like a very rare, only sometimes strategy. It's not something you want to be doing a lot. It's number 5 on your list of strategies, right? So it's like last resort, emergency use only. Don't just go there. And because of the danger in actually hurting yourself, hurting your mind, because of the danger in just getting used to using willpower, not using wisdom power, but using willpower to force your mind, to control your mind through this act of will. So what kind of thoughts do you think this might be? Like maybe thoughts of murder, thoughts where you're unable to control yourself, extreme lust, maybe inappropriate lust for someone who is in a relationship, for example, wanting to lie about something, just obviously these are going to be extreme thoughts, right? We're not going to do this like, oh, I might have a cup of tea. Like there's no need for you to kind of really beat yourself down for that. You can use these other strategies first, I hope. But something that's like really persistent, like I guess like the thought of revenge or, something that's really, really got you and you can't let it go using those other strategies. So it's got to be a particular kind of thought. You're not going to waste this kind of energy on nothing, the usual nothing. So this is a little dangerous though. This is why I save it to this time. Because if people hear this teaching, they can really get confused, not understand the context, and use it without using any wisdom. So that's why I save it to the end. So these are the 5 strategies. The first one is substitution, replacing the distracting thought with a wholesome or neutral object, like that peg. The second, let's see. The carcass, yes, the carcass necklace. Yeah, so a sense of shame or prudence. Is it suitable? Is it appropriate? Is it worthwhile having these thoughts? The third, close your eyes to it, right? Doesn't exist. La 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 la. The fourth, slow down, think, inquire. That picture, that image of the person walking. This is how we really start to understand the workings of our mind. And the fifth one, wrestling. Yeah, wrestling with your mind. So these are five strategies that we can use. But these are just 5 out of a whole toolkit of things that we've learned over the last few days. Do you remember some of the things we've learned? Please? Very good. So why don't we spend a few moments setting up a circle at the back of the room, and we'll come together and we'll do some sharing. So how long does it take to set up a circle? I used to do this with young kids and I give them like 10 seconds, but with adults I find it just takes like sometimes 10 minutes. So 2 minutes, okay. At 16:46 seconds, 9:16 and 50 seconds, we will be in a circle. So it's useful to reflect upon our learning, and at the end of a retreat, just to think back and see what we've been doing here. And so we're going to go around the circle a couple of times, but with different aims. And so the first time, I'd like you to just tell me something that you learnt on this retreat. Something that you learnt on this retreat. So it can be something you learnt personally, something about yourself, something that you're happy to share with the group. It can be something you remember hearing, like a particular technique or strategy, an image from a sutta, anything. Has everyone got something in mind? And we're looking for something like, although I'm fascinated by you and your life, just like keep it to about a minute, right? Okay, so we're going to start with you, and then we're going to go round. So you get to decide in a second if we go left or right. Yes. My pleasure. And so, always like with meditation, when we have good experiences, they come when the causes and conditions are right, and we can't crave for them or desire them or force them, and then they go. And when they're gone, they're gone. So we don't get attached to those sorts of things. In the same way, we don't get attached to the bad meditations either. Bad meditations. We don't kind of think that everyone's going to be like that either. So whatever comes, we just accept it, and then it goes again. But really interesting to hear from all of you. Thank you for sharing that part of your understanding and your experience on the retreat. So I wonder if you would tell someone one simple strategy, kind of like a fridge magnet, but now I'm in a trap because I don't want us to be like fridge magnets at all. But if you were to share one simple, single strategy to someone else about giving some advice, how they can work with their monkey mind, what would it be? What? Very good. I'm glad you've got one. We're going to write it down. That's okay. Now you need to think of 3 more. No, that's very good. Work with that one. So, we're going to hand out some pencils. Just take one and pass it along. And some paper. Take 2. Take 2 pieces of paper and pass it along. Hopefully we've got enough for everyone. 2 pieces of paper, 1 pencil. 2 pieces of paper, 1 pencil. 1 pencil, 2 pieces of paper. So one simple strategy that you have learned, something that you've seen for yourself even. It doesn't have to be the thing you just shared. But you're going to write it down. And it's going to be, you're telling someone else. Be like, dear friend, if you want to train your monkey mind, here's one simple strategy. Or, dear friend, this is something that you can do, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand? Does anyone have any questions, any doubts, any confusion? So just one paragraph, perhaps, writing to... Oh, we need some more paper? Have we run out of paper already? There's some more coming round, yeah. So take 2 pieces. We don't have terribly long for this, by the way. So yeah, you can fold it in half and create your own. So let's get started, shall we? So we're writing on 1 piece of paper, one simple strategy that someone else can benefit from to deal with their monkey mind, something that we've learned. Dear friend, to help tame your monkey mind, try this, and then tell us what it is. If you don't understand, just put your hand up. Good. You got your one? You got one? Just a few sentences. Just one, yeah. So we don't need to sign our name or anything. You can keep it anonymous. And then fold it up and you can put it in the box. Very good. Okay, does it need to be an essay or a book? Just something simple that will help someone. But we could turn it into a book, couldn't we? There's so much wisdom in the room, right? So many people have developed their own understandings of how to practice in a way that works for them. Now, who doesn't have a piece of paper in front of them now? Who's lost their piece of paper? So, does everyone still have one piece of paper? Yeah, good. Okay. That's very kind of you. Can everyone else hear that ringing? Is it just me? Ah, it's a bird or insect. Okay. So, second last activity. And I don't know how it's going to go. I've dropped the hint a few times, but I don't know if you picked it up. I'm really interested in knowing what your meditation animal is. I need to know what animal you've got going on inside of you. Is it a sneaky snake that slithers through your mind? Is it a wise owl who knows? Is it a glow-in-the-dark caterpillar that has its own internal lights? Is it a sloth? For obvious reasons. Is it a chihuahua that barks at you and jumps up and down? Is it, I'm going to run out of ideas really soon. Is it a tortoise? Yeah. What is your meditation animal? So it could be like the grim reality. Like, okay, the truth is my meditation animal is a sloth. Or it could be my aspiration. My aspiration animal is to be like a bird, soaring high, free. So what I'd like you to do is to write down the words, my meditation animal is, wait. And then the word, which is your animal, and then I'd like you to draw it too. So if I only got you to draw it, some people might say, what is that? So it's important that we put the word, right? But I'd just like you to draw it as well. And don't think too much about it. I'm going to give you like 3 minutes to do this. So what is your meditation animal? My meditation animal is... No, you get your own. Yours. No, what kind of... Okay, get in touch with the kind of meditator you are, and then creatively link it to an animal. It's a bit of a jump.
Is our aspiration meditation animal?
It can be, yeah. Or it can be either, yeah. Some people want to be a bird. Some people are like a happy elephant jumping in puddles. Some people are slow like a tortoise. Some people are like a hippopotamus, happy just hanging out in the water.
Do we have to explain
Yes, you can explain why. My meditation animal is ... because, and then draw it. Some people are not creative, so this is going to be extra fun for you. What's your meditation animal? Don't think too hard about it. And if you want, you can borrow some of the animals that you've heard about. Okay, who's finished? Good. Who needs more time? Okay. Give you 20 seconds. Should be enough to create a masterpiece. So I like doing things like this because sometimes they challenge us to think a little bit differently about our meditation and our practice. And one of the things that I like about meditation is that it kind of, in the neural networks in your brain, it fires the neurons so that different parts of your brain light up. And often these parts are associated with creativity and integration of different ideas. It's like when you have synesthesia. Do you know synesthesia? When you feel colours or you hear like numbers have a sound. So it's like when your two senses kind of get mishmashed. It's like a real condition that some people have. And in meditation too, we have these weird experiences where the mind is like seeing colours or feeling sounds or experiencing things in new ways. Does it happen to you in your meditation? Where you kind of have an experience and it's a little bit odd, a little bit weird. And it shows us that sometimes our mind is capable of much more. Anyway, so I like to do activities like this that are creative, that kind of help us match up little parts of our brain, like linking our meditation to an animal. So I'm interested in knowing if anyone wants to share what your meditation animal is. KC gets pointed at. Everyone points at KC. So, okay, I'll just go first. I'll go. Good. Ah, see? Perfect. Very good. So my meditation animal is an elephant, because elephants like to have fun. You know how you see them frolicking in the water? And they also have good memories. Well, actually, we're going to have a little exhibition. Okay, what about, is anyone, I just thought you had your hand up there. Yeah, but you were just putting something on your head. So, you don't want to volunteer? So I was going to say, actually, this is what can go either way, because some people are really into it and some people hate it. But I'm into it, and it's my retreat. So that's lucky. So what I'd like to do is actually to have a little exhibition. If you just put them on the floor in the middle of the room, we can have a look, and there's no judgment, remember? No judgment. We're just going to have a little look at what other people have come up with. So have a little exhibition. Oh, see, there's excellent drawings here. Oh, see, they were not hating it, they were just shy and reluctant. My meditation is a monkey. Yes, I like to tame it. Very good monkey drawing. My meditation animal is a dog, because when I meditate, she comes beside me. We meditate together. Oh. My meditation animal is a buffalo. Hard-working, tough, and resilient. And here we have a pet rabbit with teeth, like fangs. That's my one. That's a bit. Okay, so my meditation animal is a monster from Monster Inc. Green. finally found what its strength is. Nice. I have to ask, what is this one here? Oh, it's a peacock. Of course it is. How silly of me, yeah. I see it now. Peacock. Nice. My meditation animal is a peacock because it is colourful and mesmerising. It has a crown too. Nice, very nice. What about this one? My meditation animal is a rabbit. Oh, I wonder why. What have we got over here? My meditation animal is a cat. Yeah, cats are good meditators because it will ignore others if it is having a good time. So when I am in meditation, I will ignore everything else except my breath. Very good. I will also be inquisitive to want to investigate the Dhamma. Yeah, cats, they're curious, right? Very nice. Look at this perfect sloth. I think that I've seen that before somewhere. But anyway, it's good. Okay, there's two spiders. My meditation is a spider, which I would never have thought of. Obsessive, observe, patient, aware. Oh yeah, like a spider. That's actually a good meditation animal. Patience, yes, sharp awareness. Meditation spider. My meditation animal is a koala because it progresses quite slowly. Right. I will have to be patient. Very good. A leech. Where is it? I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Okay, I'm glad that there's no explanation. Maybe it takes joy from others. Okay, last one. My meditation animal is a slow loris. My aspiration animal is a tortoise to prevent the jackal from biting my limbs, yes, so that I can practice well. The less hindrances, the more progress. Very good. Well, I don't think you should have been so reticent to show me your incredible drawings. My meditation animal it's an aspiration butterfly because it has calm, soft, quiet, tranquil nature. That's so nice. Very good. So we're going to take a 5-minute break and we're going to come back and we're going to do our final session of meditation. So grab your cushions. If you want to grab your drawing, you can grab your drawing. If not, you can donate it to my collection. Oh, what's this one? Caterpillar. No explanation, I'll have to guess. Maybe it will turn into a beautiful butterfly. Very good. For a fearless person like me, my meditation figure is a spiritual friend. Yeah. Bhante says, go away. Focus on your breath. Very good. Okay, so we can leave these here. I'll come back to these later. Okay, these ones. So go have a break and put your cushions back. We'll come back down and we'll do some more meditation. Bring your pencils back to the front and all of that. of our few days together. And so in the remaining time that we have, which is less than an hour, we're going to do some metta meditation. And then we're going to take the 5 precepts and relinquish the 8 precepts, if you wish. And then we're going to do a photograph, a group photograph of your smiling, happy faces. Or else. We've got the evidence. We might put you in a special retreat facility. No. So, to do some metta meditation is nice. Does anyone not know what I mean when I say metta meditation? Yeah? Great. So in English we might use words like loving kindness, or love, or friendliness, or amity. And so these are just words that help trigger something in us. So love is one of the 4 immeasurables, sometimes called the Brahma Viharas, the abode of Brahma, the God, the being who just abides in love or compassion or joy or equanimity. So love is one of those divine abodes. And it's thought that these practices also lead to rebirth in such places, where you just get to spend your entire time just suffused by good feelings of love. So this is something that we can experience here and now. And in the same way that there's mindfulness in us and energy in us, but it's covered up somehow, in the same way there is a lot of love inside you, an infinite amount of love, actually, a vast amount of love that can fill the entire universe. But it's covered up with ill will, with anger, with distraction, with busyness, with tiredness. But we can access this love within ourselves. There's many different ways of practicing metta bhavana, the development of love, but it's similar to some of the things that I've talked about before. We find a little bit somewhere inside of us. Sometimes we fake it till we make it. We say, may I be happy, or may all beings be happy. Even if we don't feel it, even if we don't believe it, we say it. And we find that when we think about this thing, that there's a little spark of love. And then by paying attention to it, by noticing it, being mindful of it, we actually allow it to grow, to develop and blossom. And so this is how we cultivate loving kindness. It might start out small and a little bit sad and weak, but it can grow. And over the course of our meditation, we deliberately grow it so that it moves away from us and it touches all living beings even throughout the universe. So there's a couple of different ways of practicing this, and the way that the Buddha taught it in the suttas is just to practice love in the 4 directions. There's north, east, south, west, above and below, and also northeast, southeast, etc. And so it's kind of like he divides the world up into these eighths, and then up and down. Today we're just going to do the 4 directions, like, north, east, south, west. It's just going to be like front, side, back, other side, right? I don't know where north is. And up and down, that way. Oh, okay, well, that's great. Now, I don't know if you could all orient north that way, okay? And what do we find in these directions? We find all sorts of beings. So we've been working a little bit with animals. So we'll be looking at the animals in particular that we might find and developing a mind of love towards them, which is beautiful. So the place that we really need to do the most development of love is within ourselves. If we can't feel the love, the emotion, the sensation, the characteristic of that feeling of love in your heart, then you're not going to be able to spread it to other living beings. So we spend some time just developing that for ourselves before we start radiating love in these 4 directions. Okay, so we'll spend maybe just 5 minutes just settling into the practice, and then just a short meditation of about 20 minutes or so to finish off our time together. So take up your comfortable posture. And especially for metta meditation, it's good to make sure that you are completely relaxed. So spend a few minutes consciously scanning the body and releasing, looking for any tension or tightness, releasing it, letting go of it, allowing the body to become soft, squishy, to feel good. Let yourself feel good. Allow yourself to relax. For the whole body to soften. We allow our mind to become soft, squishy, to become loose, relaxed, open. You are a good person. You are a good person. You are a person deserving of love. You are. You are deserving of love. You can allow yourself to feel love towards yourself. To give yourself that love that you deserve. Thinking, may I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. Repeating these words steadily, clearly, meaning them. Yes, I want happiness. Yes, I have this love for myself. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. And as you repeat these words, a very special feeling, the feeling of love. It's soft, warm, and gentle, like a hug, a warm embrace, like a smile. So you give yourself a little hug, allow yourself a smile on your face. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. This smile is also in your mind. Feels good to be happy, to have a mind of love. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. That soft, warm feeling of love grows in the mind. It drenches the body with love, soaking every part of this body. The feeling of warmth, softness, gentleness, soaking you in love. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. So you allow this love to spread throughout your body, feeling every part of your body is filled with love. Every limb, every organ, every cell suffused with love. You keep that smile growing bigger, broader, so you feel happier as this love soaks through your body. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. And this love becomes stronger, deeper. This love overflows from your heart and radiates outwards, radiates from your body into the space of this room. Your love spills over and touches all of the people here in this room, our friends, our companions, our Kalyana Mittas. May they be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. And that feeling of love suffuses them, embraces them with all your kindness, your gentleness, your care. May they be happy. May they experience this love. This love becomes stronger, more deep, more wide, as it radiates from our hearts, spreading outside the room, connecting with so many living beings. We spread this love to all the creatures, all the beings in the north. We give love to the cat, love to the monkeys, may they be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. And to the east, may all the beings in the east be happy. May they experience my love. The leeches, the caterpillars, the mosquitoes. May they all be happy. May they feel this love. May all the creatures in the south be happy. The dogs, the cockroaches, the beetles, cicadas, may they be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. And in the West, may all the creatures in the West, all the beings, may they be happy, experiencing my love. The mice, the lice, the frogs, the fish, may they all be happy. And all the creatures, all the beings above, the birds, the bats, may they also be happy. And all the beings below, the worms, the ants, the centipedes, may they all be happy. So that now our love radiates in all directions, all around us, above and below. Our love radiates, connecting with all living beings. May they be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. This love becomes deeper, stronger, radiating outwards. This love is vast. This love permeates the entire world, drenching all beings with your love, with your kindness, your gentleness. And you smile as you give all beings love. You include them, each and every one, in your love. May all beings on earth be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. The animals on land, the beings in water, under the earth or in the sky. May all these beings experience my love. May they be happy. This love is infinite, boundless, radiates throughout the darkness of space. It's vast. It fills the solar system. It fills the Milky Way galaxy. This love is immeasurable, infinite. It fills the entire universe. May all beings everywhere experience love. May all beings everywhere be happy. now we draw that love back from the edges of space, back to our galaxy, back to the solar system, back to our planet, back to Malaysia, back to this place, here, in this room. Back to our heart. We let that feeling of love fade, knowing that we always have this love deep inside ourselves. Whenever we need it, it is there within us. So now we relax our awareness. We come back to this room, surrounded by our spiritual friends. And when you're ready, you can arise from the meditation and gently open your eyes. Very good. So this is a practice of love, and it's a very powerful practice. You can include it into your meditation. Some people like to do it at the beginning of their practice to inspire the mind and put them in a good place. Some people like to do it towards the end of their practice after they finish their breath meditation. Some people like to make it their entire practice. It's always good to have a heart of love, and when we develop this metta within our own hearts, it's very easy for it to show up in our life towards other beings. So that's the end of the retreat. So now we can relax, right? We've worked really hard. You've done so much. Yes, you definitely deserve it. I saw someone patting themselves on the back. Very good, yes, very good training. Someone must have encouraged that. Very good, yes. Do pat yourself on the back. You have done an amazing job, actually. And I'm really impressed. You're all so dedicated, you worked so hard, you listened, you meditated, you walked with leeches, and you trained your monkey mind. So you have some skills, some experiences that will help you in the future. And so now it's customary when we finish a retreat where we've been on 8 precepts to relax those 8 precepts so that you can enjoy dinner and start feeding that monkey. But hopefully with some wisdom, right? So you see here on retreat, all of the things that you learn only turn into wisdom if you apply them in your life. So if there's something that you've understood here, try to hang on to it like a precious treasure. Don't just forget about it or put it in the second drawer down in the kitchen. This is something that you should pay attention to And remember the sacrifice and the renunciation you made to be here. It actually mattered to you to be here. And developing some insight and wisdom is important to you. More important than whatever pleasures of the world might come your way. So try to keep everything in perspective and to keep touch with your spiritual practice, either by practicing a few minutes or longer each day or each week, or listening to teachings, reading the suttas, keeping in touch with your spiritual friends, doing service, maintaining your precepts, being generous, all those things to help keep your spiritual practice moving forward. So this is very important. So let's take the 5 precepts. So this is where we move from restricting ourselves from having no dinner, or not having dinner, having no dinner, and having no entertainments, no beautification, no luxurious beds with nice cushions, and we move to a more comfortable way of life that includes dinner and nice sheets. So we begin by bowing down 3 times. And if you need to follow along the precepts, it's on the 3rd page. So you can, shall we repeat together? We'll do it together? Okay. So let's recite the Namo Tassa and the 3 refuges together. We've been practicing, so we should be really good at this by now. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammang saranang gacchāmi, Sanghang saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchāmi. And now the precepts, please chant after me. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adhinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adhinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu miccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang
Sura meraya majja pamadatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikapadani silena sugatim yanti silena boga sampada silena nibutim yanti tasma silam visodaye. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. So that completes the retreat. And one last thing I'd like to do is to invite each of you individually to come up and to receive some wisdom from your spiritual friends. So we're going to do that one at a time. Please come up, you can take one. Who knows what goodie you'll receive, right? If you get your own, then it's a statistical anomaly, but meant to be. And the point of these is a little memento for you to take with you, but also this is something that might come in handy one day, right? You can pop it on your Dharma shelf or inside a Dharma book or something, or on your fridge, and when you're struggling with your monkey mind, you have some advice, which is good. So please come up one at a time. We'll make a little line and pass out some goodies.